Yeba eba be breaky at the mama chairman Wontumi a High Court among the last chance to file his witness statement. And a witness statement no. Abusuan chairman Wontumi and then the lawyers are part of Tenase. Omo pese omo delay High Court proceedings. And omo ko Supreme Court no ma part challenge rules are High Court at the amount. And you see how the chairman Wontumi naso ayehye ankasa deputy attorney general eba be breaking wa ha edema say chairman Wontumi wa order almost say with immediate effect say omo convicting na you see only anything to based on as an evidence ebusuan see chairman Wontumi and the lawyers no eja egu omo chima enye asam ketwa kra and Kevin Taylor ababonten ababe drop hot details on chairman Wontumi ekwan a opese on the lawyers no efa so na omode delay High Court proceedings abusia mom yanko na yanko kweti ensema Kevin Taylor drop edema ya subscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update be ebe drop no wonso wonsa ebitumi aka aha gossip politics tv so medamase
beka ho asem no Wontumi Samurai boy case na court. Remember Wontumi in some na sebio case mienu na dan so court ninya criminal cases baako any Samurai boy case na akopie court judge a ote akonwem ahye Wontumi say court mra na kire ne say attorney general presenting the case nyina awia was say Wontumi so ebeka kire court say in fact kwedu a attorney general de abom ni nyina no in fact enya no kre we enya no kre menkrata kire say enya no kre ni asama nipa we kan ya obedi adanse ma attorney general no sa nipa no wanka no kre in fact no kre pa no enie in sama attorney general judge so nyina no ni nyina so sa na court expect say Wontumi enye na sebio judge no entumi fa no judgment mbra ebesin de chairman Wontumi say sa de no onye ade ntira emra court ne ka say Wontumi mbie ni case ni defense na ono so emfa de kuta no a ogina so aka say oni bone ne mra no Wontumi say judge no anje antum ono na sema antum say eni say obie ni defense no or the court appeals court. In fact judge ne ka say oni problem say decision na o take an as judgment no de ba efa say ombie ni judgment onka na sema so onka ni time nyenduru onyanye ready no na Wontumi ka say or the court appeals court judge na nka bibia na judge ne ka say Wontumi nko na onko tie the appeals court for beka na appeals court for ka say ampa odibema omra na sebio na asem no so eningina so a omra no montoa asem no so ende ejebo chairman Wontumi ekopie appeals court no appeals court say judge oti asem no so no Samurai boy case a chairman Wontumi ahwa ka dwemu a sebio oti asem no so no the judge has not committed any offense. In fact they believe that the judge has done things right, so Wontumi should go back and basically open his defense for the court to listen to his defense. Then the court at the end of the day will make a final decision. That is the judgment from the judge. So and then what happened is sorry no pay no now Wontumi akọ appeals court say okutie say yama no kwa manim bie any case anaseme manenye and the court of appeal throws out Wontumi's request to halt his case at the High Court pending the challenge of the decision for him to open his defense. It did not occur appeals court ko nyina and say ma case na ekoso no enkoso yemfa tabono nto so until say appeals court betie na asem nyina ewie. And I want to be appeals court na appeals court say wasem nyanse bi enim ko na asem bi ansie na ko bia defense na sebio judge ni so entie na wo westi Ghana for mre because baby asem na kodu no attorney general na dwuma nyina ewie wacheche ni nsem nyina or the sebio ne witnesses nyina ba they have come to the court, they made their statement, records have been taken. The attorney general basically closed this case a few weeks ago. So it's up to you, Wontumi, to defend yourself, to prove to the court that whatever allegation the attorney general is basically putting before the court is a lie. It does not hold. It does not have that evidence to condemn you or to put you in jail. Now, Wontumi and his lawyers are playing this very comical game whereby, for some reason, they don't want to open their defense. They don't want the court to know that they are not guilty of the allegations that has been leveled against them. After court, Wontumi lawyer or a former MP who also lost badly when he was a member of parliament, who was also very corrupt. And through the corruption, his constituents said he was not a leader to lead their constituency. So he was booted out. Chairman Wontumi went to pick a failed lawyer who could not even manage a constituency to lead him in court. And appeals court, Eto Asameto Abontino, Wontumi lawyer, Apia Kubi, a failed member of parliament, spoke. And let's go listen to Wontumi, lawyer. No.
Yeah, your application have been refused.
Yes.
What do you make of it?
Yes, this is the ruling of the court. We applied for a stay as a repeat of the earlier one. The court does not agree with us. The court says that the application for stay is refused, which means that indirectly two options: either repeat it or go back to the instant court to prepare our witness statements and continue the case and see the outcome of the case itself. So, in a nutshell, this ruling brings us to the end at the Court of Appeal in respect of the application for stay.
Is there a decision to go up?
We'll have to go back to Chamber and look at the options, and then we'll let you know which line of action we'll take. For now, like I said, we are open to two lines of action. One is to go up to the Supreme Court, and the other is to go down to the court, High Court, to continue the proceedings.
When you say either or, is it your point that filing of your witness statement is hinged on your decision whether to go to the Supreme Court or not?
Exactly. If we decide to go to the Supreme Court, we will then proceed to the Supreme Court and pursue the matter there. If we decide to go back to the High Court to continue the proceedings, so we do. So the options are open to us. So we'll go to the Chamber, discuss with our client, and then we'll consider the next line of action. Thank you.
So this is when they stepped out of court. Chairman is not clocking. We are not clocking today. Today we are opening. We need to be clocking. Today we are unclocking. And to me, can't see any. First, not chairman can see any or can see any. So see how we are unclocking. We cannot clock. We are unclocking. I thought chairman was clocking every day. Clocking. Today chairman is unclocking. And to me, can't see any. I can't see any. Chairman is unclocking. Abuata. So right now, this is what happened. Bro, for na a year appear kubi. Unu appear kubi. Chairman Wontumi lawyer no or your corrupt chair kusi. Sa akwa we no ka say imbrebi yesi businessman bi ba parliament. Ena obechiche sika mokai. Ena appear kubi so onim businessman no obeka ka kire OSP. OSP fra appear kubi so omra so ma. Ojiskani bi. I ain't na wanko kano. Anything I say he's a corrupt a politician. One thing a permanent free parliamentar and wabedane lawyer. Onisika into the chairman Wontumi besi dying. Such chairman Jimmy. Ontumi kind. Ontumi chro. Into me. Now let's come back to the matter itself. Jana eye appear could be eke jina anasa or unclocking in and say. Or say and yura eye court. Appeals court na atu yasem na to actually. Na ni nyina say appeals court say in sama chairman Wontumi de baye say eni say obi any defense na in fact yemfa tabono to asem no so kopem say or no appeals court no ebe make judgment no appeals court say o ma make judgment asem no sebio bebi ana judge ni gina ene the judge ni kan nyina ewom omonto aso now yebusa eye chairman Wontumi unclocking lawyer ne say sia no dia na mobeye eno say o ye were two options. First option ne say yebeko case no ho biem na yakobia defense and now say yebeko Supreme Court until you can see now make a chira mo say inkofo we no political criminals na ye chi omo a omo first year no they have money, second year na omo ni started they will start or Chairman Wontumi appear could be at this juncture he needs a lot of money from Chairman Wontumi because Chairman Wontumi ni beti enche baby a oyi sika na free edi etua ne ka no sika na be start e form enche Chairman Wontumi be start atete so he will have no option than to go to the Supreme Court. Now remember Chairman Wontumi going to the Supreme Court no still delay tactics, and I am very very sure and convinced to say Chairman Wontumi will tell Apia Kubi say on Sanko Supreme Court not on interpretation on the judgment from the appeals court, because right now the only strategy left in England is say let us delay the court, let us try and drag the case. Yansha say you better be Jina court for the next almost 3 years. Confirm say John Mahama be free power, but you can see clearly Chairman Wontumi and the lawyers say Chairman Wontumi is not guilty of the crimes are alleged against him now, Anka Chairman Wontumi will be a happy man to open his case. Adia Emma case easy in the say who accuse you be now the court. Every time the accused say onye guilty and I say ondifa ayana na ho pre no say ebeduru so mana kanasem. And that is also a sign to a judge to prove, say, this person knows that he's not guilty and that he has enough evidence to back his claim. Now, the moment an accused person starts to delay a case, starts to drag a case, starts to find reasons for the judge to stop proceedings, then you get to know, say, the accused person has no evidence to cancel out or to make his case that he is not guilty of the crimes leveled against him or her. You are seeing a clear picture of Chairman Wontumi, who does not want to come and open his defense because on him said Attorney General now in court. It is true. On him said the lawyer Apia Kubi cannot defend all the charges. On him say there is no way all the charges leveled against him, Chairman Wontumi, he can walk through the cracks without being guilty of even any of the charges. So he knows, Chairman knows his clear-cut, straight jail term. But right now, he is doing the technicalities. Right now, this is the time Apia Kubi so ebe jinisika. This is the time they are going to make him feel, say, this is the time this is the time they will convince you, say, Fabra. Because now remember, Supreme Court is going to be a lot of money. The money he spent at the appeals court, he's going to spend 2 times to go to the Supreme Court. Now, of course, Supreme Court now, they will give him some high hopes to say, oh, Supreme Court there, interpretation. And let me tell you, from the trajectory, who study cases from where it started and how Chairman Wontumi consistently, he has been inconsistent in his presentation in court, provided evidence and even cross-examining the prosecutor's witnesses. You can see clearly say, Chairman Wontumi lawyer and said Chairman Wontumi cannot survive this. They know it. It is a whole trajectory of the case now. The Supreme Court is not stupid. The Supreme Court, they also want cases to be fluid. They also want reasonable reasons to make sure, say, assembly or court to be without anybody interfering in the process. What the Supreme Court does not like, and they say, you being in a high court, trying to distract a case and using them as an obstruction. The Supreme Court hates that. And let me tell you, Chairman Wontumi to the Supreme Court, but from our lay point, and I say as from our view as laymen who don't need a law degree or we are not lawyers and you can see clearly say Chairman Wontumi try to obstruct the case. So the Supreme Court rationally will basically apply common sense and say that there is nothing here that is stopping you from opening your case. Go and open your case. In fact, the judge is giving you the opportunity to prove yourself that you are not guilty of the allegations that the Attorney General has leveled against you. So why is it difficult for Chairman Unclocking to open his defense? Why? Because Adeba Kwame Hunene say, Obia Obeko Court Biano, say Ondifo. Na se owo case na owo nyina so ayana ne ho pre say judge ne man kwan man kan asem, but in this case Chairman Wontumi say yes kan asem so onka. And basically so in simple terms court say Attorney General begina dakem for weeks aka ne nsem nyina e de asem ato Chairman Wontumi say ne nyina so nie. Court say Chairman Wontumi Chireye se the Attorney General can't to usuni nyina no okuta ne ngina so no chireye se enya no kure adentina Chairman Wontumi pese obeye. Chairman Wontumi pese obeye free say Chairman Wontumi nim se wabokro no. And per what is happening in court, that is how I made by the conclusion that Chairman Wontumi knows he's guilty. Now at this point, Chairman Wontumi ba na adiachi no make say Omaba court, but Oma file case or Supreme Court. Are you going to blame the Attorney General? The Attorney General has done his job. And to me, some Supreme Court. Now, such Chairman Wontumi a file case where I will not let it sit in the Supreme Court for more than 2 weeks or even a week. I will sit on that case and bring out my judgment. I am not saying I don't think for the Supreme Court they know the law, they know the interpretation. So I am not going to sit here and say the Supreme Court should do this or should do that. But if I'm the Supreme Court, I should be able to finish this case in 72 hours and tell the two parties or the Chairman Wontumi to go back to the High Court and make sure that, because at this point, does Chairman Wontumi want the Supreme Court to say he does not have to open his case and his defense and what is Chairman Wontumi asking or seeking? The question here is Chairman Wontumi going to the Supreme Court to tell the Supreme Court, say, I don't want to open my defense. In Timonkanche Court, and say, I should not open my defense. What is his case here? He wants because the appeals court right now, there's no case in the appeals court again. If you are going to the Supreme Court, what interpretation are you going to ask for? Are you going to tell the Supreme Court, say, appeals court judgment, you don't understand, and that or you are going to the Supreme Court to tell the Supreme Court to say, defense is in a CBA, and our defense in a CBA, you think it is not lawful and that you don't want to open your defense. So case in the So sometimes you ask yourself, Chairman Wontumi Jimmy appear could be a and the NPP, the core NPP, they don't understand these things. So I will advise the Supreme Court, with all due respect, that this dilly-dallying and kwasiadia Chairman Wontumi lawyers say, when the case comes, and I know they are going to move to the Supreme Court, that is what they will do. They have no option. Because the Chairman Wontumi and go to Supreme Court, we should expect at least judgment within 3 weeks. So Chairman Wontumi, to me, I'm be in defense. Say Chairman Wontumi, Uncle Supreme Court, that's what the defense. I expect the case to end within a month. It should, maximum a month, it should end. Because what I know, say, from our sources, and a source, in fact, from a post from 1957, and I'm going to say this because I need to tell you where this is coming from. So far, I don't have the facts, but I'll put it on the screen and let Ghana for to know, say, we picked this. We are going to follow up to make sure, say, in fact, no cre ewo sa asemwemu.
All right, abusuya Chairman Wontumi Kevin Taylor and I attending kase all my hot details on Chairman Wontumi ne lawyers amokwa piemu ewo Supreme Court and omo person omo challenge High Court ruling and I say court proceedings over ne Samana boy illegal mining scandal and as a trials are ekoso ewo High Court. Abusuya yebeda masesa mo jepene kokotisa and same way edemai gossip politics TV. So on subscribe, subscribe and hit it on the notification bell.